Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in day 25 of internship program on IoT project development using industry grade microcontroller. Yesterday, we started a new section in our internship program, which is Android application development using Android Studio. We saw that how to create a new project in Android Studio. We learned about the project structure, about the activities, XML files, manifest file, layouts, Gradle files. So we learned the project structure in Android Studio. We also learned about how to create layouts, different layout types, constraint layout, linear layout, relational layout. Okay. So today we are going to create few applications, and by that process we are going to learn about the layout creation using Android Studio. So before starting with the Android Studio, what we will do, yesterday we had some issue with the MIT App Inventor that we are not able to run Countdown properly. So I have removed that error, and what was the problem, I will discuss that, and then we will start with the Android Studio. So even after pressing the button, after 15 seconds, we are not able to set this button check equals to false. So we'll check with that. I'll just open this project. Okay. A default time interval is 1000 milliseconds, and this is the block logic block we used yesterday. The only thing was missing was this set global counter to 1. Okay, I forgot to add this, and because of this reason this is not working properly, this was not working properly. So now I have added this. We will quickly check this, and then we will start with the Android Studio. I will connect the app. Okay, each and everything other than this block, which is set global counter to 1, everything is same. You can see that. So I will just quickly connect with AI companion, and then we will check. Okay, what I will do, I will press button now. And after some times automatically see that it had set to false. I will press this button again, which is LED off, and I am not doing here anything. And after some times, which is 15 seconds, it will set to false. Button check. You can see that now it is working. Yesterday it was not working because I forgot to put this that condition of global counter set to 1 again whenever the counter finishes. So that was the issue only. Okay, you can see that automatically it sets to false. I will upload this .ai file in the resources material also. Now we'll start with the Android Studio. So today we are going to create a few applications. First application will be we are going to take a user input. We will learn about how to take user input in Android Studio, and after that we will send that user input into Firebase. So we'll learn about the creation of user interface first. What we will do, we'll start with the new application. We'll start from scratch. I'll create new project. So I'm repeating this process. So select the empty activity, give name whatever name you want to give. So I'll give Firebase test 2. Uh, keep the API level as it is default so that maximum devices can run our application. Language is Java, and everything you just have to set default. Just click on finish now. Okay, we have created this new project. I will close the previous project. I will just keep it as it. Okay, now Gradle build, all the process has started. Whenever you create new project, this Gradle build and other processes will start. It is the only time whenever you create new project, it will run. And after that, you can edit your application. So you can see here 2 files we can see. First is activity underscore main.xml and next is main activity.java. So main activity.java is the backend file. So we have to write all the code related to backend, and in activity underscore main.xml, in this file we have to write code related to user interface. So we have learned that yesterday also we saw how to create a emulator using AVD manager, and after that we also connected a physical device, Android physical device, to run our application. So these two methods are debugging purpose. Okay, so you can check for errors, possible errors in your application using these methods. So what we will do, we'll start with layout creation first. Okay, and later when we create our user interface, then we will edit our backend. So we'll start with the user interface. So you can see 3 options available here: code, split, and design. I recommend you to, as a beginner, you should go with the split. So with respect to code you are writing here or editing here, you can see the changes over here. So also I have discussed about 3 main layouts, which is constraint layout. This is default constraint layout. Second is relative layout, and third one is linear layout. So we are going to use relative layout and linear layout. We are not going to use this constraint layout. So what I will do, I'll just delete this and I will tell you how you can add different layouts in this XML file. So to add a relative layout, type capital R first. You can see here options, all the options will be available. So select this relative layout and hit enter. And after that you have to delete this because we have used constraint layout properties or in this text view. So I will delete this text, which is hello. So you can see that we have converted our XML file or the layout to the relative layout now. To make it linear layout, just type here capital L and the option will be available as linear layout. In these 2 layouts, different properties with the components will be available. So relative layout will have some properties which will be not in linear layout, which are we going to need. Okay, so we are going to need this both layouts. That is the reason. So both has certain sets of properties which are required or essential to create a beautiful user interface. So what we will do, I will first select relative layout, and then we will talk about little bit about the relative layout. In the relative layout, as its name suggests, each and every component on the screen now is we can adjust relative to each other. So what do I mean by relative? Just let me tell you that. Okay, to add any component, you can just go to design, or you can just type code here also. To add component by means buttons, text views, edit views, user interfaces. Okay, you can see here button is available. Whenever I drag this button here, certain line of codes is also added in this file. You can see here. If I delete this button will also get deleted automatically here. So what we will do, we'll split this and start with the, instead of dragging the components, we'll type the code. Okay, this is the best practice to go with. So to add any component, you just have to use this less than sign and type whatever component, initial of that component. For example, I want to add edit box. So in edit box, you can take user input. So I will type capital E. You can see the first option is available as edit text. So I will hit enter. Now you can see here Android colon layout width. So width is, if I make this match parent, then this edit text will cover entire this width. You can see here entire this width. And if I will make this wrap content, it will take the space, only that space which is required. It depends upon the user, whatever text typing. Okay, size of that text, according to that text, it will take this space. So what I will do, instead of match parent, will make it wrap content. So it will wrap the content. Hit enter. And for the height also, I will make it wrap content. After that, whenever you are writing these properties are related to this particular edit text. So make a common sequence for all the components you are adding. So there can be possibility of having multiple components like edit text, text view, buttons. Okay, so make these properties, sequence of these properties common, so that there can be no possibility of confusion. So next thing is very important, which is ID. So just type ID. I will tell you what is purpose of this ID. Hit enter. So remember this sequence, and after ID you have to hit enter again one time. I'll repeat this process. Just type ID and then hit enter. Again hit enter. This option will be available now. Now you have to give a unique ID to each component you are adding into screen. So we are adding this edit text. Whenever you are adding the button, you have to give unique ID to that particular button. Okay, or any general component. So each component must have unique ID. So what I will do, I will give this edit text as user underscore input. So in backend, we are going to need this. Okay, so I would like to give analogy of MIT App Inventor here. You can see in MIT App Inventor, if I select this button, we have given this name to this button. Okay. In user interface, we add this button, we have added this button into screen, and then we changed this button name to on button, on underscore button. And later in the blocks, the backend, we have used this ID, using special ID of that button to identify that button. So that is the purpose of giving IDs. So in backend, you can identify that particular component so that you can use it in writing code here in the backend. So that is the purpose of giving ID. Now, the next thing is we have to create positions. So next thing is, after giving the width and height and the ID, go for the position. So position is, we want to make it in the center, for example. So just type horizontal, and you can see layout underscore center horizontal. You just have to enter here and make it true. Now you can see here this component is being added in the center. Now we want it in center of the screen. So to make that, we have to make it also vertically center. So just type VER. You can see here layout underscore center vertical. Click on here and just hit enter and make it true. Now our component, it is in center. So in edit text, you must give a hint so user can identify what to write in that text, edit text. So to give hint, we just have to type hint. You can just write it down these properties, because whenever you want to create your own application, these properties are going to be very useful. So I will type hint, and whatever hint you want to give, you can give. I will just type here. See, you can see here the hint now. You can change the hint color also. I will just type hint again. Text color hint. I'll hit enter, and I'll just make it gray. I'll just make this dark. Okay, for time being. Hit enter. You can see the color has been changed now. And after that, what we want to do? So this is all we need. Okay. Another very important is text. So whatever text user will type, the size of that text you have to define. Okay. If you don't define it, it will take default value of that font size. So what I will do, I'll just type text. You can see here text size, and text size will be, I'll give 25 dp. And to finish editing this component, you have to type /, okay, and it will finish. Okay, the red warning has now gone. You can see here. If I remove here, you can see this red warning over here. I'll just make it / again. You can see that we have completed this editing this edit text. Now after this, what we want to do, we will add a button below this edit text. So after clicking button, whatever text we type here, we want to print on our logcat. Okay, so first application is this. Whatever text we write here, we will print it on our logcat. So to add button, just again type first <, sign, then type capital B and select this button. After hitting enter, you will come with this. It will come with this default properties. Hit wrap content, and the next property is always ID. Will give ID as print button. So print btn, print button. After that, we have to write some text on this button. So what is the purpose of this button, user can understand. So we'll write text as text on this button is print. Simply write print. After that, you can see that even though we have written first character as capital, but the all other characters are in small letter. Still later here in the screen of the design, you can see that all the characters are in capital. So what is the reason of this? To overcome this issue, you have to just type, first we will define the text size, and then I'll make it 20 dp. To overcome this capital characters issue, you have to type cap. You can see here text all caps. You have to select this and make it false. Now you can see that whatever text we have written here, it will get typed on the button. After this, we have to give position. I will make this Control X, Control V. We have to give position. Never miss the sequence of the properties. so it will be less confusing for larger code. So first, what we want to do, we want to put this button below this type here, edit box, edit text. So just type below, you can see here, layout underscore below. I have just written here small b and it has given an option. So select this first option as layout underscore below and hit enter again. And you have to provide the ID of component below which you want to put this button. So we want to put this button below edit text. So what is the ID of edit text? User input. Just type here user input. You can see here. Now button is below this edit text. Though we have taken this button below this edit text, it is now still in the center. Okay, to make it center, you have to type horizontal and see that first option, layout underscore center horizontal. Hit enter and make it true. Now button is below, exactly below this edit text. So you can see that they're too close to each other. What I will do, I will make distance between the button and edit text. To make distance, what you have to do, just type margin. And see here, all the options will be available related to margin. So we want to make margin from the edit text. So from edit text is above button. So select this margin top. We want margin from the top. So I will select this and hit enter. I will give as 20 dps. You can see that. Now we have added some distance between edit text and the button. Fantastic. After this, I will not edit this too much. I will just finish editing. Okay. Now we have created this basic user interface. And using this user interface, we are going to take input from user, and after that, we are going to print it on logcat or the run. So that is what this app will do. So user interface has been created. Now what we'll do, we'll just write the code, backend code now. So every time you have created this user interface, you have to link this user interface with the backend. To link, you need this IDs of each and every component. So to do that, just take here all the types of components you have added in your user interface. So how we can add that? First type private or public, protected. There are three options available: private, protected, and public. You can learn about this in Java programming. Okay, I will be not discussing about what is protected, what is private, and what is public. I will just use it. You can simply use public also here. So I will write private, and after that you have to write the component name which you have included in your user interface. So first we have included this edit text. Sequence can be anything, it doesn't matter. So I will just type edit text. You can see here option available, edit text. Hit enter. And after that, give a name, whatever name you want to give. So I will give user underscore input. It can be same as the ID also. It doesn't matter whatever name you give here. And give semicolon. After that, we have included this button also. So what I will do, I will just simply hit enter again. Just type P, it will come with this private, hit enter. Type capital B, and you can see the button option. Hit enter. And just give whatever name you want to give. It is like giving name to button variable. Okay, you can see, say that. So I will give print button. Print button. Give semicolon. Now what we want to do, whenever we press this button here, we want to print whatever text we have taken from user into logcat or the run terminal. So simply we'll write code for that. After declaring, you have to define also the button. Means you have to link these buttons with this user interface. So linking this each and every component with the backend, we can do here. We just have defined here, sorry, declared here. Now you can do, you just take this user input, hit enter, equals to assigned. So we are going to assign this input to this edit text. So to do that, just type small f and select first option, find view by id. And after that, give argument as capital R dot id dot. Now it will provide you some options. So what we want to assign this edit text to, this component. So what is the id? This user input. So I'll simply type that. Okay, you can see the option also available, hit enter. And after that, give semicolon. Do not forget to give semicolon. Also we will define the button, just type print button equals to same small f r dot id dot, and you have to select this print button, print btn id. You can see here we have given this name id as print btn. So we'll type that. Give semicolon. And after that, what do you want to do? We'll write a function. So whenever we are pressing that button, we want to print it, whatever text available in that edit text. So to create function, just type public void name of the function. So print function. So in this print function, what we want to do, whatever user input is available, we want to print in the logcat. So just type system dot out dot println and give user input dot get text. Okay, it will take that text and it will print. Now we have to call this function. Whenever we are pressing the button, we want to call this function, which is print. So to whenever you are pressing any button, you have to set a click listener. So it will receive that clicking. It means that it will identify that you have pressed that button, and after that, whatever execution we have given to it, it will execute. To do that, you just have to take this print button here. Sorry, print button dot set. You can see the first option, set on click listener. Hit enter, and in this you have to type new and hit again enter. You can see this view dot underscore view dot on click listener. Just hit enter. You'll see that. So whenever we press this print button, this function will run. Whatever the lines of code is available, it will run. So we want to call this function after clicking the button. Control C, will print it here. Control V, make it semicolon. Now our application has been created. Okay, everything we have written the back end and the front end as well. See all these things, I have created this function here. I have set this click listener here. Okay, you can learn this in Java programming or the Android application development. The course yesterday I have discussed. All these things I have discussed. Or instead of doing this, you can just go on the internet and type how to use button in Android Studio and just visit the official site. I will just show you how you can do that. Simply just type how to use button in Android Studio. You can see here and go to official site documentation developer.android.com. You can see how you can edit the properties related to button in layout file. Also you can add and see here we have used this button dot set on click listener. You see, so whatever I have done here, everything is provided on the official site. Just select the Java, do not select the Kotlin because we are writing code in Java. So all the things I have learned from this documentation and the course yesterday I have discussed with you. You can learn about each and every component, how to use these components in the back end, in the front end, how you can edit these properties. You can see here XML file is also given, so you can learn from here. So we just have taken this code. You can see everything is same. Now what we will do, instead of running this application on virtual emulator, because there are some issues and it will consume so much of RAM, the system may get hanged and I don't want to happen that. So I will just connect my physical device and I will show you. I have connected. Now you can see that in here, now physical device, Realme, you can see the version name also. I'll simply run this application. So it will take some seconds, few time, and after that application will run on the physical device. After this application, after running this application successfully, what we will do, it is installing. You can see here. You can see here we have created this user interface. Okay, so you can see the background is black because we have not defined the color of the background. So what I will do, I will just simply write small b here, click on the background, hit enter and give color as white, and simply I will run it again. You, before running this new application, you have to terminate the application running previously. So terminate this and it will install again. You can see the background we have changed now. If I change this color, okay, timing I will not change the color. Type here, you just have to click here. I have clicked and we will go to the run option. So we'll just increase this. Whatever I type here, now it will get printed here. I will type IoT internship and then I will hit print. You can see here IoT internship. Though I have written this, I'm not able to see this because we have not mentioned the color of the text of user input in the properties. So you have to mention that, else user will not be able to see this text. Okay, so we will quickly do that because this is very important for creating user interface. So in here we just can type text color, set it to black. And after that, we will also make a change also here also. Whenever we are pressing this print button, we want to erase whatever user has written. Okay, so after this, what we will do, we will use user again, user input dot set text to what, to empty. Okay, after this, it whenever we press this button, things written here will be printed here, and after that it will get erased automatically. So I will just quickly rerun this. I'll terminate it. You can see the same application. Now I will type something, hello, and open the run. I'm typing. Now we are able to see this text, whatever text we are writing here. Hope this is visible. Okay. The camera. I've written the hello here. I will press the print button. You can see here hello. You can see here hello. And the whatever text we had written in the edit box, it got erased automatically. And you can see the hint, the default hint type here. So I will give another input here as embedded systems. So there was one property I already have discussed. You can see here. This wrap content width equals to wrap content. What does it mean? So the length or the width of this component will change automatically. You can see that according to text we have written. So I will just type some random characters. You can see whenever I'm typing anything, it is the width of this component is getting increased automatically. You can see that. You can observe the line below, the blue line. Okay, so I will just print it. We will see. I'll hit enter. This random character text I have just printed. I'll print again ATC and print. You can see ATC out here. Now what we will do, we will quickly make a change in this application. So what change we want to make here? So whenever we are typing here something, we are printing it on run or logcat. So instead of doing that, we will add a text view here in the screen, and whatever we are typing here, after pressing this button, it will print on the logcat as well as the text view will be set to this text. Okay, we will see how to do that. We will check that quickly. So to add text, use the less than sign and type capital T. You can see the text view. Give them as wrap content, wrap content. After that, give ID. Hit double enter and give ID as txt. Okay, small txt text. We have given this random ID as txt. After that, we want to give position of this text. So what is the position? We want this text above, type here, edit text. So to do that, first make it horizontal, layout underscore center horizontal. make it true, and after that give some margin from top. So we will add some margin from top, and we'll give like 100. We'll check, it is 100 dp. It is so much high, so I will make it 200. See, it is still higher. I'll make it 250. Okay, now it is looking little bit good, so I'll make it 270. Now it is perfect. Make it dp. After that, we don't want to give any text. We'll just set color of the text color as black, and then text size set it to like, I'll make it a little bit larger so everyone can observe it properly. I'll make it 30 dp. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I will just finish editing, and we want to write some code. First we have to define whatever the components we are using here. We have to define here and declare it. So first we will declare it private text view, and I will just simply type user text, user underscore text, semicolon. Now we have to define it. Just take that user text, and just type find view by id. Type r, capital R, dot id dot txt, the id of this text view, which is txt. You can see here. Txt. After that, just simply give similar. Now, what we want to do, we want to set that text view to whatever user is typing. So to do that, use just this user text dot set text. What is the text? User input dot get text. So whatever user is typing, we are getting that text and setting it to user text. Hit enter. That's it. Okay, we'll run it again. You can see that our physical device has appeared here. I'll simply run it. Okay. Okay, I have written it white. Thank you. We have to here black. I'll just select black. Okay. Our application is running now. I'll show you first. So you can see here there is nothing above type here. Okay, we have added the component text view, though it is we are not able to see anything. After we type here something hello, I will just type hello, and then I will click here print. You can see hello. Okay, sorry, after changing the color I have to rerun it again. So that is the reason we were not able to see this. Now I will type hello again. You can see that after pressing print, the hello is there. Also, we will check the run. You can see hello here also. I'll give some random numbers. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7. I'll make it print. You can see here. Number is also printed here and printed here also on the screen. You can see that. Okay, I will just type IoT internship and I will print it again. You can see here also IoT internship. You can see the same thing on the screen. So what is the purpose of that? We will just quickly understand now. So whenever we are typing something, I will just open the code first. So whenever we are typing something, we are taking user from user input. We are taking user input from user, and we are setting it to this print function system out println, and we are setting that same string to the text view we have added here. You can see that this text view. So assume that whenever you are receiving any data from cloud IoT cloud platform and you want to show it on your screen. So this is how you can set it. So whatever data you are getting, you have to use this. You have to first declare the text view, then define it, find view by ID, and then use it. You can use it user underscore text and dot set text to, and you have to pass the argument as whatever string or the string argument here. So it can be data from the cloud also. It can be from Firebase. It can be from AWS IoT. It can be from Adafruit IO. Okay, whatever the cloud is here, it doesn't matter. Whatever you string you put here argument, it will get printed on the screen. So tomorrow we are going to send the data from this application and then receive the data from the Firebase, and we are going to control the LEDs. The same thing we have did with MIT App Inventor. We are going to do with this application. So this is the first application we built. It does not contain Firebase and everything. So what we will do, we will just edit this application, and today now we will talk about how we can integrate this application with the Firebase. I think light is gone. So what we will do, we'll start with the how we can integrate Firebase with the our application. To do that, there are two methods. One is manual method. You have to add the JSON file and everything. And second method is automatic. Okay, what we will do, we will go with the easy method. So each and everyone can do it. So in automatic method, you have to just simply go to tools. And before go to tools, you make sure that you have logged in. Okay, you have to click here. You can see this icon. I have already logged in. So you want to log in using the same account you have used for the Firebase. Just simply use that and log in. After login, you have to go to the tools, and from tools select the Firebase. Okay, I will just click on it. Now you can see here the real-time database. First thing we are going to see how we can integrate this application with Firebase. So select real-time database first and click on get started with real-time database. I'll simply click on here. Remember the steps. First thing is you have to log in, sign in using the account you have used for Firebase. After that, go to tools, go to Firebase. Scroll up, select this real-time database, and after that click on this first option available, get started with real-time database. You can see that the few steps you just have to follow, just have to click on them, and you can integrate your application with the Firebase. The first thing I will do, click here. Now whenever you click here, you will see this error, could not pass the Android application modules Gradle config, resolve the Gradle build issue and or resync. Okay, to remove this problem or this issue, whenever we click, you will see this problem. Okay, to remove this, what you have to do, simply have to go to the second file, build.gradle. Okay, I'll just minimize it. Sorry, the first file, build.gradle. Just remove this. And sync it. After that, go to tools again, Firebase. Select this option and click on this add real-time database SDK to your application. Click on here and accept the changes. Okay, some process will start. It will download some files. Okay, dependencies set up correctly. Now again, you can see that this option will appear here after adding the dependencies. You have to remove this one. I'll just simply remove this. Don't worry, I will repeat the process. Okay, remove this one. Control Z, I will show you again. In the tools, select Firebase. In real time, get started with, and then select the second option first. Okay, set up the dependencies. After setting dependencies, minimize this. You can see here, remove this option from the second file. Just remove this. Go to first file. You can see the same thing here also. Google Services GMS. You have to remove this. Okay, I have removed from both. I will now sync now. Okay, sync is complete. Now what we will do? Go to tools again, Firebase, and now try to connect with. So that error you have to delete with using this option. Okay, connect. Now you can see that we have not seen this error. It got connected with the Firebase. Now select the project you want to connect with. I will just simply select this IoT project. I already have tested this code. So already previously have connected other project Android application with this. You can see the symbol here. So whenever you integrate your application, you can see the symbol. So I will click simply here. Okay. Simply click on connect. Now we can just go back to the Firebase. Sorry, Android Studio. Our application and the Firebase has now connected. You can see that connected. Now you again don't have to click on this add real-time database SDK. We already have, but we wanted to remove those files. So that is the reason we clicked first on the second option. So I will repeat again how you can eliminate that error. So whenever you try to go from step by step, it will sometimes give this error. Okay. So first thing, make sure that you are signed in. Go to Tools, select Firebase. In Firebase, select Real-Time Database. Select the first option, Get Started with Real-Time Database. And here, whenever you click on the first option, if you get the error, then select the second option. Okay. If you do not get error, just go with the flow. Okay. Select the first option, connect with the Firebase, then add dependencies. Okay. But if you get this error, the already previously we saw that error, then install this add SDK, add real-time database SDK to your app, and then remove the GMS files in both the Gradle build. Okay. What I will do, I will just add again them. Okay, see, remove this file, this, and this one, ID, gms.google services. Okay, you have to remove that and you will not face any problem to connect with the Firebase. Now, tomorrow onwards, we are going to see how we can send and receive data using Android Studio. So we are going to use the reference code given here also. You can see that they have provided with some reference code for sending the data to Firebase, and there is some code for reading data from Firebase. Okay, we are going to use this code. So we'll tomorrow see that. Now, what we will do tomorrow, we are going to create a user interface. So we'll just discuss about that first. So first thing we are going to do here is we have to add the text view at the top. I'll just open that application I already have created. I think this one. Yes. Not this one. You can see that this application we are going to create tomorrow. So I'll simply go to the activity and split it. You can see here Firebase app. We have to add these buttons LED on and off, and after that we have added here text view also. So we are going to receive the data from the Firebase. What I will do, I already have created this application. Tomorrow we are going to build this application from scratch. So I'll quickly show you how we can interact with the application. I will simply delete this. I have installed the application on my smartphone. I'll show that. You can see this the same application. It is visible. Okay, what I will do, I'll just hit on button. You can see that button check and it set to command, set to true, and after some time it will get back to the false. You can see that the same thing we have did with the MIT App Inventor. I have created in Android Studio. I'll make it off. I will click on off. And after some time button check will go to false. Okay. Now what I will do, there is one reference. We are going to read the data from Firebase also. So I will just simply check the reference. So it is from ESP. I will quickly add here from ESP. And we'll type some text. Hello. And after adding, you can see that there is no text. If I add this, you will be able to see the text. Is it visible? You can see that hello. Okay, I'll simply change it to some numbers. I'll just type some random numbers. I will hit enter. Is it visible? You can see that. I'll change it again. I see the same number. So we are receiving data from Firebase also, and we are sending data from Android application built from using Android Studio to the Firebase. So I'll simply click on LED on and see that command has been set to true. And after some time, it will set to false. So tomorrow we are going to build this application. We will create some different user interface for reading the data from ESP8266. We will integrate it with the ESP8266 to create the to control the LED built-in LED of ESP8266 also. So tomorrow we are going to do this everything. So now I will end today's session, and forum is open for question and answer now. I have decreased. I will share the code. Sir, not visible. I will share the applications also. So we will start with the beginning. Brightness. I had decreased later. Hope it was visible. I'll share the code also. Every code we have written using Android Studio, I will share the code snippet on the resource material. Also tell another method for Firebase just to tell us the reference from which we can learn. Yes, I will provide the resource material also for that. How we can add manually. Why we have to delete the GMS last one Google service link? Because of that link, if we do not delete that, we will be not able to uh, redirect to the website. So that is the reason. So you can simply just delete that, and after that connect with the your project, and then you can simply add it again, no problem. So it has some issue with redirecting with to the website. It will show the error. I'll share this application. What is the advantages of Android Studio gives over Blank App? See, Blank App, MIT App Inventor, and other all platforms which uses the blocks, logic blocks to create application, has a little bit less flexibility with respect to, not little, so much. So Android Studio, using Android Studio, you can make any application you want. However, you can create any user interface however you want. Okay, but in Android, in Blank App, you just have to drag whatever the blocks available, all the components or the design. But in Android Studio, you can design your button also. You can create user interface however you want. You can integrate your application with any cloud platform you want. You cannot integrate Blank App with the AWS IoT. You cannot integrate MIT App Inventor with the AWS IoT, Amazon Web Services. So there are so many limitations of using Blank App, MIT App Inventor platform. So it comes with the less flexibility in backend, in the user interface as well. Okay. Sir, kindly share the code of non-conductive liquid. I think we have shared on resource material. If not, I will reshare it again. Any other questions? So tomorrow we are going to end the Firebase and the Android development using Android Studio. We are going to cover everything in the tomorrow session. And after tomorrow session, we will start with the MQTT protocol. What is the MQTT protocol and how we can implement it in ESP8266 and Android Studio for AWS IoT integration. So we will start with the AWS IoT from day after tomorrow. Yes, are we going to make ESP8266 LED on off using Android Studio app and Firebase? Yes, tomorrow we are going to do that. So reason behind controlling LED is just telling you that you can control ESP8266 however you want using this application. This is just not you can control LED, you can send data serially to microcontroller. You can control any port pin of ESP8266. It is just not that you can control LED of that ESP8266. You can control ESP8266 from Android application however you want. It is just for understanding purpose that you understand. So that is the reason we have taken this simple project. LED, every time we do this LED on and off because everyone can understand it because it is very basic. In the advanced level, you can just do anything. Sir, in Android Studio, we have to install any extension? No, I just showed you. You just have to install this emulator. If it is not present, you have to install the emulator. And when we are going to write code for AWS IoT, we are going to need this NDK. You can see here project structure. You can see here NDK version. You have to install this NDK. Okay, I will tell you later how you can do that. You can see the NDK version location. You have to provide this also. And you can see the option available, download Android NDK. So we will be talking about this later in the AWS IoT sessions. What is NDK? So this is the only external extension we need. You can see here all the dependencies are here. For AWS IoT, you have to add the dependencies to dependencies directory here. So there are going to be some different dependencies, the libraries for AWS IoT. So all things related to Firebase you can see here. Whenever we set up this SDK download from the tools second option, from this second option, add the real-time database to your app. So dependencies set up correctly. So whenever we click this dependencies will get added to this dependencies directly automatically. Any other questions? if there are no other questions, any other questions, I will end today's session. I think there are no any other questions, so I will end today's meeting. Thank you.